All right. Well, welcome, Dania.
Thank you.
Welcome home to
Thank
my
you.
my humble home.
Yeah, I like the design. I was just saying it's a very nice color palette you chose.
Thank you, thank you. Pastel all the way.
Yeah.
Well, so thank you for coming over again to H&F over coffee.
Yeah, I love it. I'm very excited to be here.
Thank you, thank you.
Mm.
Now, one of the amazing reasons is that I wanted to have some beautiful, iconic people in town, and you came to mind.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. And I love the fact that you have gone deeply into psychology, although that's not your background, which is incredible.
Not at all.
That's
Yeah.
a major drift there,
Yeah.
which is awesome.
Yeah, I dabble into a lot of areas. Psychology has been the most recent fascination of mine.
Love it,
Yeah.
love it. And I love that you have like all these like short snippets on Instagram,
Yeah.
and you talk about all these things that interest you, things that like are just mind-boggling,
Yeah.
and it gets you thinking.
Yeah.
And I like that, especially that I would say recently been interested into psychology as
Okay,
well.
that's good. That's good.
Exactly. So listening to you, I feel like yes,
Yeah.
this girl like is saying it. Someone needs
She
to
knows
say it out
what,
loud.
yeah,
Exactly.
she knows what everyone's struggling with.
Yes.
Yeah, so I remember when I first started my page, I was consulting with a few social media experts at the time, and a lot of people told me stick to a niche, stick to one thing, stick to just like design or marketing or that's it, or branding. And I did that for a while, and I felt like, I have so many interests. It's just who I am.
Yeah.
And I just felt very inauthentic on social media,
Okay.
just sticking to just branding. And
Yeah.
like
It's
it just,
not you.
it's not me. And
Yeah.
it just felt very dry
Okay.
because it felt like a classroom. And actually a lot of people would tell me like, it feels like you're talking to a classroom. And
Okay.
it made sense because that's how it felt like to me.
Yeah.
And then eventually one of my friends, and she's actually very big on social media, and she advised me, and we talk a lot about everything, and she knows how interested I am in pretty much every subject out there.
Love it.
And she's like, Dania, don't stick to one language. Don't stick to one subject. Just talk to people the way you talk to me.
Yeah.
And
like be organic.
Yeah,
Just be original.
and just make it random. Talk about everything. Talk about marketing, branding, psychology, everything,
Yeah.
sociology, whatever.
Whatever interests you, because
Yeah.
I think people feel it.
Yeah, and that's what she said. She's like, people will love your authenticity more than anything.
100%.
And it's true. And when I started to do that, that's when I started to see a lot of engagement. I started to see growth. People would like walk up to me in events and be like, we loved what you said. It would have nothing to do with branding or marketing. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's just a random thought about psychology or something that crossed my mind, or advice or whatever. Like
Yeah,
it's
it's
just
like you're speaking their mind. in a
yeah, I'm
way.
kind of just having a conversation with the general public, pretty
Yeah.
much. And and I honestly, when I really felt like I was happy about what I was doing is when people would come up to me and be like, we loved what you said. It actually made a difference.
Incredible.
So
Yeah.
I was like, oh my
I'm
god.
changing lives.
Yeah,
I'm
kinda.
impacting people's
Yeah, even if
lives
it was
here.
one person, two
Yeah,
people.
I mean, you don't need to impact like a whole,
Yeah.
community in the sense, but it's like
Yeah.
one person at a time.
Yeah, and one of the things I try to be very careful of, because I hate when I see this on social media. It's like when people talk at you like they're the experts, and and I hate
You gotta
that.
do this. you
Yeah,
gotta do
yeah.
this,
So
and
a lot of times in my video, I would say a piece of advice, but I would always say like, I'm also advising myself, not just you guys.
Yeah.
And that's something that I try to be very careful with, because I don't want to be speaking down on anybody, because I'm struggling with the same stuff everybody else is struggling with.
Yeah.
We're just
We're all
in this
humans,
journey
yeah.
together. You know what I mean?
100%.
So, but what I'm doing is I'm taking the knowledge that I have, that I've been learning, that I've been researching, and I'm kind of simplifying the concepts to kind of like bite-sized information that I'm giving to people. And I'm also trying to do it in Arabic as much as I can, because I realize that there's kind of a gap a little bit in that content out there. So I'm like, why not create that for people? But at the same time, I started to get a lot of requests from people that we want to know what you're saying in English.
Let's translate it.
Yeah,
for
so
everybody
exactly.
else.
So that's what I started to do. I started to translate it, know. And a lot of most of the like English speakers are more vocal about what I'm saying and whatever, and they come up to me and they engage more and whatever. So I just started to do both languages, and then when I do stories, I do it in both languages.
I love it. Yeah. And feel free to speak both languages on this podcast.
I'm gonna
You're good. You'll get there,
I'm gonna inject some Arabic here and there.
Excellent.
I'm sad and things.
Love it.
Yeah.
So what I would say, like, what drove you to get into psychology from the get-go? Like, rewinding a little bit before you become, this famous person in the community and like spreading the love and awareness?
I would say I was very I would say oblivious to the world of psychology. I didn't really know much about it, and for me it just seemed like something that was for a very certain type of person. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to admit I was one of those people who didn't really, just kind of saw psychology from a distance and said that's not for me.
I hear you.
And you know, life teaches you a lot, and 100%. Life teaches you to be open-minded. And eventually, as someone I knew once said, sometimes you're lucky enough to get slapped in life to want to heal and to want to understand more about yourself and the people around you. And you know, I was that lucky, I guess, and I started to want to understand where our belief systems come from. What is this belief system? Why is it controlling my life? Where did it come from? Who narrated this? And how can I change it?
Exactly. Who wrote that book?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, I want to understand how this was formed. I want to understand why different people think in different ways, and I want to know if there's something you can do about it. So I started to take a lot of psychology courses. I started to do research like crazy. I would read for hours and hours every day. I learned a lot of methodologies, but then I was like, it was all very Western. So I'm like, there is no way that this does not exist in Islam. You know, the Quran is our manual for life. This must exist in Islam. So I started to read the Quran more. I started to try to understand it, and I tried to see, link what methodologies in psychology are linked or are saying the same thing as the Quran, which came 1,400 years ago. You know, before any of this. You know,
but were you able to kind of understand it when you read it like on its own kind of thing, or did you have to look for translations?
I looked for translations, and I also looked for a lot of videos online for people who kind of simplified. So I would research, scholars who talk about psychology in the Quran. So that's how I would do it. And one of the people I was reading for is Dr. Dania. And she would talk about this, and there were a lot of other scholars that I would read from, and just random videos here and there, and then I would go back to the surah that they would mention. I would read it, and then I would read the translation. I'm like, this is what this means.
Incredible.
You know, so and actually in one of the courses that I've done, I remember we talked about meditation. And one of the practices that we had to do in the course. So when you're doing certain courses in psychology, you are your own patient, and you have to kind of test a lot of these things on yourself. And one of the things was meditation. I remember it was very challenging because one of the projects that we had is that we had to do meditation at 4 a.m. And I remember 4 a.m. you had to wake up,
like
because
pray Fajr and like do meditation.
Fajr was at 5 at the time. Fajr was at 5, so I had to wake up at 4 and then So the thing is, and I remember this very clearly, because the point of 4 a.m. was that you needed to be at a certain conscious level. You know, so when you first wake up, you're not at the beta conscious level. You're not 100% awake. So that's and there's something with the circadian rhythm.
Because you're doing like your REM cycle.
Exactly, right? And not just that. There's the circadian rhythm. So even if you are completely awake, the brain kind of like syncs up. Exactly. So there's something about that. So 4 a.m. is the prime time for when your brain is absorbing information. And that's why they say 4 a.m. So we had to meditate at 4 a.m. And I remember I told my prof, I'm like, girl, this is too hard. I can't do this. Okay, I'm like, I wake up at Fajr at 5. And
that's early enough.
And the meditation takes about 45 minutes. And I'm 45 minutes meditation,
That's intense.
Exactly. So I told her, I'm like, this is not feasible for me. And what she said to me, and this was very interesting to me, she was like, you wake up to pray. And I'm like, yes. She's like, okay, I want you to not do the meditation the way I am teaching you. I want you to consider your prayer the meditation. And I'm like, okay, I'm listening. And then she was like, okay, so what I want you to do, and I explained, she's like, walk me through your prayer. And I walked her through the wudu, and then the salah, and then sunnah, and you know, tasbih, and all of this stuff. And she was like, I want you to wake up for Fajr the way you do. Okay. And I want you to really be mindful when you do wudu. Like, do it very mindfully.
Like
think about
fully there.
Fully 100% present.
Amazing.
And then when you do when you do salah, I want you to be 100% present khushu'ah. Okay, and she said presence, but I translated it as khushu'ah. And then I'm like, but what if I don't understand the surah I'm reading? She's like, if you don't understand it, then listen to the tone of the surah. Okay, so listen to the way the letters sound, which is tajweed.
Exactly.
Right? So she's saying this
Mind
stuff
blowing.
she's
And
saying
she's not Muslim.
She's not
nothing.
Muslim.
Yeah.
She doesn't even know what tajweed is, but I'm translating it
to what it means,
what
and
it
relates
means,
to
exactly.
you. Yeah.
So I did, and I tried it her way, and it had the same results, if not better, than meditation.
Incredible.
Which shows us that in Islam, if we do khushu' correctly, then we can get the same results as meditation and psychology in the Western world, and maybe even better because we have ajr with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Hold on. Let's stop here for a second. Dude, I'm gonna kill him. Hush timing. Hi. Yes. Thank you so much.
So you paid already?
I think I put pay like using card on delivery.
My company will send you the link to WhatsApp. You just pay by the
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you. We're still
Okay.
the beauty of editing. This is where it comes in.
Exactly.
Sorry. And okay, we're good. We're Gucci.
Okay. So so I don't know where.
So she was telling you about how to be present fully, and basically you translated it into what it really means to us in our religion.
Yeah, as a Muslim, how can I use that in my religion? And I remember also Ramadan was coming up, and she was explaining to me. She was like, so basically, she's like, how can we step out of the subconscious mind, which is basically our movie that we've been playing our whole lives, and the movie that controls every decision. And like, how can we step out of it? Why do we meditate? We meditate because we want to step out of the subconscious mind and be in the conscious mind, which is 5% of the time. If you're lucky, it's 5% of the time of your decision-making process. So I'm like, okay, how can I do that? How can I be present and make conscious decisions without being triggered, without having the movie play back, without any of that?
Which is the complete opposite of like what a lot of people think meditation is, right?
Yeah.
Like they think
you go to another world.
Yeah, exactly.
And there are different kinds of meditation.
Yeah.
So the meditation type that we were doing at 4 a.m. is not the kind of meditation that keeps you present.
Okay.
So the meditation we're doing at 4 a.m. was the kind of meditation that kind of taps into your subconscious world.
Okay.
Which is why we needed to do it at a certain time. And the reason why we wanted to tap into that is because we wanted to listen to something called the voice in our head. What is the voice telling us?
Okay.
So everybody has a voice in their head. Some people are aware of the voice and some people are not. You know, and it's harder for people who are not aware of the voice.
Yeah.
So the voice is basically kind of like, you can call it your gut feeling, or kind of the thing that it's your higher self telling you stuff.
Okay.
And it's like it kind of like leads you in a certain direction. But for some people it's not very clear, and that voice can be negative and that voice can be positive.
Yeah,
it depends on your story.
I was just gonna say, because I don't know if you know Mo Gaudat. Have you heard of him?
No.
So he's the ex Google CEO, and he has his own books. So he's like he's written a book called The Little Voice in Your Head.
Okay, listen.
And it's incredible. Like, I really need to share this with you because like I feel like
I have to read that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I have to read
I
that.
think you're gonna love it because he really taps and goes deep into what it means to have that little voice in your head. But his way of explaining it is that he tells people that you are not the little voice in your head.
That's what I'm saying. Sometimes it's a negative voice.
Exactly.
So we have to. So basically, the reason why we do this meditation is we need to understand what that voice is saying.
Yeah. Is
and
it
when
like us, or is it the
Is it reality? Is it a story? Is it a negative story? So,
or is it something that you got from like a movie that you watched, and now it's like translating something into your subconscious? That
the voice is very strong. It doesn't come from a random movie. The voice is a part of the. So if I explain, let me go back and just
go for it.
Explain how the whole subconscious mind and the movie and everything.
I'm loving this.
Yeah.
By the way.
So from the age of 0 and sometimes even before the age of 0, when you're in your mother's tummy, basically. Until the age of 12, you go through different conscious levels, okay? So your conscious levels in your mind, in your brain, are going through development, okay? So while they're going through a development phase, they are basically recording. At this point, there is no analysis as a child. You have no analysis. That's why children believe things that you say right away, because they don't have that analysis skill yet.
Yeah.
So they just believe everything you say at a very young age, because they're just recording everything, and they're not just recording things that they are told. They're recording behaviors that are non-verbal as well. So people's tone, people's reactions, people's
body language.
Body
Do
language.
something, they do it too and reflect it.
Exactly. Things they see on TV, things they see with other people, their parents, their teachers, all of that is being recorded. It's like a full recording of everything, every experience they have. Some experiences are very emotional, so they keep a mark, and some experiences are not. So basically, everything that happens until the age of 12 is being recorded like a movie. Okay. And that movie is your subconscious brain. It's
so that's why they say the brain is like a sponge.
It is a sponge. It's literally a sponge, and it's taking in everything like a sponge. And the thing is, it's taking it as it sees it. Okay, so no analysis is being done.
Yeah. There's no filter.
There's no filter, nothing. Now all that information becomes your filter. Those are your glasses that you wear for the rest of your life. Okay? And it becomes a movie. And that movie is being played 24/7 in your brain as an adult forever. Wow. It's in the back of your mind every single day. Imagine going to a theater and watching the same movie over and over and over again forever. Right? Imagine that movie was negative.
Same filters, yeah.
Imagine that movie was negative. Imagine it was a scary movie. And for a lot of people, it is a scary movie. Yeah. Because the way the subconscious mind is designed is to protect. So it will keep note of everything negative.
Interesting.
So that it can protect you. Yeah. That's the way it's designed, right?
Okay.
So then I asked her, I'm like, how do we know what's in the subconscious mind?
Yeah, and can you change it?
You can change it.
Incredible.
But how do you know
There's
what's
hope.
in it? Yes, there's hope, but it's a long, it's a hard hike up the mountain, right?
Gotcha.
But how can we change that movie? You start by understanding what's being played, because you don't know.
Yeah.
So the first sign is look around you. Your social status, your marital status, your job, your friend's circle, even the design of your walls, your house, your furniture. It is
Am I doing
all
okay there?
Well, so far I like the interior design.
Thank you, girl.
Right. So, but basically every single thing in your life is a result of your subconscious mind.
Really?
Everything.
Incredible.
It is a result of your belief system, of your subconscious mind. Everything is. So that's how you know. Now, if we want to go into more details, we start to understand what's the voice, because the voice is part of the subconscious recording as well.
Yeah.
So that kind of meditation is the kind of meditation that lets us understand what the voice is saying. So some people have a voice saying, you're not very confident. You're not a confident person. You're not very popular. So you always have that in the back of your mind. When you're meeting people, you're like, your self-esteem is not great, and you're just very self-conscious. Did they like me? Did they not? I'm not sure. That is all part of the voice. It's questioning all the time.
Yeah. What about, like, other than the questioning part, what if it like beats you down? Like it keeps... A
lot of people's voice beats them down.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Exactly. And they don't know how to differentiate between them. Like, is that really them? Because a lot of people fall into the trap, like, for example, let's say they think of a negative thought, like, or they consider a bad thought. Like, I feel like, I don't know, I felt, like I want to run over, like, this cat or whatever. Let's just go extreme a bit, you know? But, like, that's not really them. Would they really do it? And then they think it's them. And then they're like, oh my gosh, I'm such a bad person. And then they spiral down from there, and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm not okay. I'm not, like, I can't be... such a hurtful person. I can't be this, I can't be that because I thought it. And then they start beating themselves up for thinking that way.
Well, I think that would be an intrusive thought. I would call that an intrusive thought, not really the voice. But the voice would be something more along the lines of, you're fat. And you're not really fat. Yeah. But you're not really fat. But the belief system is that you're fat. Yeah. But you're not.
It's like, what made you think that you're fat? Because the reference
was in the
is the models and whatever.
Or you were told as a child that you're a bit chubby, and it kind of got recorded somehow that you are. Yeah. And no matter what you tried, that's why you have a lot of people who struggle with their self-image, even though they are good looking, they are fit, but they feel overweight all the time, no matter how.
I personally know people like that, and it's so sad to see because they're beautiful. Yeah. And some of them start getting like operations and things.
Yeah, it gets very extreme. It gets very extreme, and that's basically the voice or the subconscious movie taking over, and that's why understanding is very important. Now, the meditation practice for presence is for different purposes. Now, presence is when you're trying to grow the muscle of the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is the 5% that makes conscious decisions for you in a healthy way when you're present, when you're healthy. 5% is if you're lucky. Some people have it at 3%, So 95% of the time, you are making decisions, major life decisions, subconsciously, and especially decisions that are emotional.
Yeah.
Especially decisions that are emotional, like love. Ooh. That comes from the subconscious mind. That chemistry, very dangerous.
Yeah.
It comes from the subconscious mind. Feeling chemistry with friends. That all comes from. You're basically reenacting dynamics that are familiar to you as a child. So when you're in your conscious mind, okay, you make better decisions.
100%.
Because your conscious mind is looking forward to the future. It's being present. Your subconscious mind is stuck in the past. And it wants to reenact everything that happened in the past.
And it's just sticking with what's familiar.
Exactly. And not just that. It wants to prove that it's true. Ooh. So if your subconscious mind is saying you're fat, it will do everything in its power to prove that true. So it will sabotage your diet and make you want to eat junk food, even though you're like, no, I'm going to stick to this diet, whatever, but those nachos look good, damn it.
Yeah.
You know, so it will sabotage your plans to lose weight, just to prove that, see, you are fat.
Yeah.
I just proved it.
Exactly.
So we have to be very careful. Now, how can we kind of increase the power of the muscle for our prefrontal cortex with what the Westerners say as meditation, but there is a practice in Islam that we can do, which is khushu', al-khushu' fi salah, right? So back then when, I was talking to the Prophet and whatever, one of the things she advised is in Ramadan, it is a very good opportunity during Salat al-Taraweeh, because it's so long to practice the khushu', because she's like, it's basically a muscle. So I told her, I challenged her, I'm like, okay, so I pray Taraweeh and everything, but sometimes someone sneezes beside me, someone's sniffling,
or you get agitated.
She's like, then catch yourself. That is the first step.
Ooh, catching yourself.
Catch yourself. Okay. That. So the first time you catch yourself, second time you catch yourself, and then you bring it's a muscle. She's like, you bring yourself back,
Which
yourself
is exactly what we do in meditation.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's the same thing. So I was like, what if I don't understand what they're saying? Again, she was like, then think about the tone of the way he's reading the surah.
But still focus on something that's there.
Focus on it. Yeah, focus on it. And every time you drift, catch yourself and bring yourself. And the first 2 days were so hard, but it was such a good opportunity because you had 30 days to practice that.
Yes.
And I really did work on it. But the thing is, it's just like a muscle. So after the 30 days,
keep training.
Yeah. So if you stop working that muscle out, eventually you will slip
weaker.
back.
Yeah.
Okay, and you are building. So what does it mean to build that muscle of the prefrontal cortex? It's not just a muscle. Okay. You're building new neuropaths.
Yeah.
And how can we build new neuropaths? Paths with new things, like a new decision.
You replace them with something
exactly.
good.
So you have to replace the old neuropaths by debunking those beliefs. So saying, so when you get a bad thought or an intrusive thought, you say, thanks a lot. I acknowledge it. Thank you. Yeah. But I'm over it and I want to believe something new.
Thank you next.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you next. And it's very powerful if it comes with an emotion. Yeah. So the emotion kind of بترسخ المعلومة. بترسخ المعلومة.
Yeah.
So you can say, like, I'm fit and I'm thin and I'm beautiful as much as you want, but if you don't feel it, it's not gonna build that neuropath.
You can't really lie to yourself in that sense.
Because the brain is a lot smarter than that. And in the past, experiences come with a very emotion. It comes with, like equipped with emotion. There's a lot of emotion in everything we believe in the past. That's how it's a memory.
Yeah.
So memories.
And it's like embedded in there. So
it's embedded from the emotion.
Yeah.
So think of all the strong memories you have. They usually have very strong emotions that
strong
come alongside
roots
them.
that stick like a tree.
So for whatever new neuropaths you want, they need to have a whole lot of emotion with them. So when you say something like, I'm beautiful and whatever, you need to
feel it.
You need to feel it, but how can we feel it if we don't really know if we don't really know. So let's use, for example, that let's say I wanna feel beautiful even though I'm like 200 kilos or whatever. Like how can I feel beautiful? I don't have a reference point, whatever.
How can I trick myself? Like, what does that feel like? Because you never felt it.
Exactly. So I never felt fit, but I did feel beautiful at some point.
Okay.
So we go back to that reference point of when did I ever feel beautiful? Maybe I was wearing a dress in a party or something. And you take that reference point and use that emotion and kind of integrate that into the new neuropath that you want to do, that I am fit, I am whatever. And you kind of like merge them together. So you kind of look for proof in the past, feelings wise.
Okay.
You know, so just it's basically what your subconscious mind does naturally with the negative stuff. So when you're scared of something, your subconscious mind goes and downloads all the proof that can, oh yeah, you're scared of, for example, this job because you had this bad experience and you don't like to do this, and remember when you traveled here and it was a bad, like it will download every experience for you to prove
it's like a trigger to everything.
Exactly.
Like it opens up.
It basically opens the folder that is assigned to this fear. So you need to build a new folder, a new like database for the new neuropaths that you want to do.
And it's
the same
good
idea
this time, because honestly that is what I do as well with a lot of my personal training clients, that I stopped saying like let's take out every bad habit one at a time, baby steps, but rather let's start replacing the bad habits with good habits.
Exactly.
And that works a lot more, like, because I started reading into psychology and all that, and I understood that it's not about just getting over the bad habit that is going to work and you stick with it for, let's say, 21 days or whatever it is, but rather, okay, this person is used to grabbing a Coke or drinking, you know, whatever it is while they're eating. Right? What if I want them to stop doing that because, you know, for their gut, for so many reasons? And it's like, yeah, but they're used to doing that motion. Their mind is telling them you need to grab something.
It's a muscle memory.
Exactly. Okay, let's start replacing it first with water. But eventually I want them to not drink any liquids while they're eating, even an hour before and an hour after. So like, there's still like an end goal here that we haven't reached. Let's say they started drinking that, like, you know, a glass of water. But there's still more to do there. But at least now they're grabbing that glass of water. The motion of them
muscle memory.
Exactly. Is still there. But at least now it's not something harmful for their body. It's just water.
Yeah. So I would take it a step further than that. And what I would tell them is, so what these clients who are used to drinking Coke with every meal, they have a belief system. That belief system tells them, I cannot enjoy this meal unless it's with Coke.
Yeah, or I can't like even like, digest the food or let it go down my esophagus.
Yeah. So what I would do is I would work on the belief system.
Okay.
And if we're going to go into psychology, and what we say is, do not identify. So be careful how you identify yourself. Okay. So don't say I'm an angry person. Say I had an angry episode.
I felt angry.
I felt angry. So don't identify as that thing. So don't identify like I am a person who cannot live without Coke. No. Yeah. I'm someone who enjoys a Coke every now and then, but I don't feel like this is for me right now. Okay. And try to like remove yourself from that, detach yourself from that identity. So like, for example, let's say something like, I don't really like to work out. I'm just not a working out kind of person.
Yes. So obviously I
exactly. So even if that's true, the brain does not know the difference between imagination and reality. Yes. It actually does not know the difference. So as long as you keep
that out, that was like mind blowing.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I was shocked when I was like, what? And I kept reading more research. Exactly. It's true.
But it made so much sense, especially when you start like recalling moments where you felt like, let's say you had like a bad memory that came to life and your body starts reacting the same way. And you take a while to get out of it, to snap out of it.
Absolutely, and that's why sometimes you can literally have an entire panic anxiety attack for freaking out about something that's not even happening to you. Oh, yeah. Because the brain does not know the difference between what's real and what's not. 100%. It's whatever you feed it, you know. So it's the same thing. So it's whatever you're identifying with. Yeah. So even if it's not true, even if you don't like to work out, keep telling yourself on a daily basis. And tell yourself, like literally, fake it till you make it. Yeah. You know, and
with this one it works.
Yeah, with this one it works.
With this one it's important.
So tell yourself, I am someone who just loves, you know, like going to the gym and like strength training. I love the way the steel feels. And go into detail. I love the way, you know, like my calves are burning when I
get all the senses involved.
Talk to yourself about that. Like explain it, even though it's not true, but your brain will eventually start to identify with it. It sounds crazy right now, but it's incredible. But it actually kind of works. Yeah, I've tried it. It actually kind of works. Yeah. And it works with pretty much everything. Like if you identify yourself as someone who's a fantastic speaker, you know, you will eventually get there. But you have to go into detail. Yeah. So you don't just tell yourself, you know, I love the gym. You have to like explain it the way you would explain a movie that you love. Yeah. You know, your eyes need to sparkle. Yeah. You know, you need to believe. You need to be believable within yourself. You 100%. Know. So if you do that, you start to identify as that person. Yeah.
Like because you carry yourself different too.
You do. I remember. It's so funny. I started my first Pilates class about a month ago. Okay. And And I just got myself into that mindset, and I swear after the first class, and I did not tell anybody at work that I was doing Pilates, and I swear after the first class, people were like telling me I was walking taller. And I was like, what? Are you serious? My friend was like, yeah, like the way you're walking is different. What have you been doing? Like your posture changed. Yeah. And I started laughing because I told the Pilates instructor, I told her, you know, I got this comment. She started laughing. She's like, the way you're carrying yourself, because I was identifying as that person, even though it was one class. Yeah. Imagine how insane that
Magic.
is. Yeah, but I was like, yeah, I am a Pilates person, even though like it was just but your body language changes. You know what I mean? So it makes a difference. I've tried it in so many different areas of my life, and it absolutely makes a difference.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, even especially for people who have been through trauma, like, and I speak for myself as well here, and that's something that I learned the hard way, but I can relate so much and understand what this really means, that moment of trigger, like it takes a millisecond, like you're ready, like the trauma's over, right? The moment is gone, but it's when you replay it, your body can't tell the difference. Yeah. So you start, like, your body reacts in a way that it takes a millisecond to get into that fear again.
Absolutely.
You know, like,
absolutely.
Yeah. And
it's like when you're when you're remembering a sad memory. Exactly. And you start crying.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean,
it's like
it was 20 years ago, but you'll still cry about it because your mind doesn't know the difference.
Exactly.
Your body will react as if it's happening right now. Same thing with a panic attack. PTSD. Yes. PTSD. Like, it's over. It was in the past. Like, it's never going to happen again. You know that. Logically, you know that. But you still have that fear and anxiety. 100%. Because the mind doesn't know. Exactly. So if you learn how to use the mind to your advantage, you can be a very powerful person. Yeah, I try. I mean, I'm preaching here, girl, but I'm still trying. It's
a never-ending process.
It is. Like, it is, and the thing is, the more you graduate to a higher level, the harder it becomes. Yeah, because then you're like start getting like peeling all the layers away, and you're like. Well, my prof used to always say, think of it like Mount Everest. You get to one milestone, then you get to the next milestone. You think you've done it all, then you find that you still. It's it's the human experience. It will keep you on your toes. Yeah. You will always have something to learn. Yeah. It's just the human experience, subhanAllah. Like, you're always going to be learning. And the thing is, the more you learn, the more you want to know more. Qudra you have, the more Allah will like develop your skills. Amazing. The more Allah will upgrade your experiences, but you have to be adha. Exactly. So He will put these experiences because He wants you to be upgraded. It's like, here, put it to practice. Show me what you learned. Show me. And that's the thing. I would say, I'm not a religious scholar or anything, but I would say a lot goes in Iman. It's the same thing. So you're saying you're Muslim. So I will give you a test. Let's see. I like it. Okay? Yeah. And then you're saying you're mu'minah. Let me give you a test. Yeah. Let's see. If you keep getting upgraded. If you tinjahi, you get upgraded and upgraded. Otherwise, you keep getting the same test until you learn that lesson that God is trying to give you. It's like, learn it. Like, why aren't you learn the lesson? Right? Learn the lesson. Sometimes it's hard. It is really hard. It's hard to get out of your head and out of that victim mode and be like, why does this keep happening to me? And I mean, girl, I've been stuck in that situation. Like, I'm guilty of that myself for years. And I keep thinking, why does this happen? But you have to learn something, and you have to, and then sometimes you get a test to just make sure you learned your lesson, just in case. Yeah. Are you done with it? Yeah. You're faking it right now. Exactly. So it is very interesting, and a lot of the times, that's the whole point of having a good community around you, a good support system, because sometimes we just need people to remind us of what we already know. Yeah. And that's something I'm very happy that I have with a lot of my friends. Because some days I have like really bad days and they remind me of this, and then literally 2 days later they're struggling with the same thing and I remind them of it. And that's the whole point of having a healthy, like-minded community. 100%. Because if you have people who are not at the same level as you on that mountain, they can really pull you down. Oh yeah. So you have to be careful. Or just take you adrift completely. Yeah. So you have to be careful. What path am I on now? Exactly. Where do these people take me? You don't want people who keep you in that loop, because a lot of people enjoy being the victim. Yes. There's something called emotional addiction. And if you're addicted to being a victim, or you're addicted to being in pain, you will seek that fix. 100%. You know what I mean? Yeah. So try to be emotionally addicted to good things. Yeah, like high vibration emotions. Yeah. There are no negative emotions. There's nothing called a bad emotion. All emotions are good. They're all part of the human experience. Yeah. Yeah, but the high vibration emotions are what put you at a high vibration, get you what you want, keep you in a healthy place. So try to surround yourself with that. I'm not saying, you know, drop the friends who are going through a bad time.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying be careful not to be stuck in that.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's why they say community, like you said, is so important. And people think that, oh, like you have to have family, like it's like they go into that loop of, okay, so my family's not around, what do I do? Or I don't have, let's say I have a toxic family or whatever it is, and they're like, well, I have nobody. And then they fall into that victimhood of, well, what do I do? Then I have no chance. Yeah, well, you can create that family out of friends.
Absolutely.
They don't have to be, you know, family by blood.
Yeah, that's the thing. Circle. That's unfortunately I would say our society, the Arab world, a lot of them have this kind of mindset of if they're not blood related, you can't trust them. Yeah. And I'm so against that.
We need to get so over that.
Yeah,
like, we the new generation people, 21st century.
Yeah, it's not really about that. I'm not saying trust anybody blindly.
100%.
You know, but what I'm saying is sometimes even family don't have the same mindset.
Sometimes you shouldn't trust family.
Yeah, and they don't have the same mindset. They could possibly keep you in that victim mode. So it's not really about blood or not blood. It's about if someone proves themselves and they have proven that they stand by you and they support you and all of that. And you should not submit to any human, you know, unconditionally like that. I'm against that
like
too.
Boundaries, people.
So you just have to be careful. You have to be selective with your community. You have to be selective with who gets your time and energy. And if people have proved that they are going to root for you to be where you want to be, and people who call you out when you're wrong, those are your people. Yeah. Those are your people.
Yeah, and it's how they call you out as well. Are they calling you out because they're trying to get one on you?
Yeah.
Are they calling you out just to pull you down to make you feel like, you know, they're looking down at you?
Yeah,
like,
or if, you know, I've had friends who have, you know, like, even in good times, they you know, they call me out and they'd be like, you know what, I feel like you're giving a lot of your energy to this person and that's not fair for you. Yeah. And it's not really something that's clear, but because they're so close, they can see it. Yeah. And they just want me to be careful.
Yeah, but we tend to like resist that, I feel.
Most people do resist that, but I tend to really listen because sometimes when people are from afar, they see more clearly 100%. Than someone who's up close. Yeah. You know, so I would say, you know, like check who your community is and see who your people are who have proved themselves, who have, you know, like who have always had your, you know, your back, who have always wanted what's best for you. And obviously don't submit to any person blindly, unconditionally like that. You know, that only goes for Allah. And have your standards and your values and don't lower your standards for anybody.
I agree.
You know?
And what would be, I would say, the advice here that you would give to people living, especially in a place like Qatar, right? It's really hard. Like, people need to really put in the effort, right? To find that circle. It's not like, you know, it's not an easy thing to do, I would say. And some people just fall into the trap of, I'm here, I'm new in town, I'm just here temporarily. I don't want to make any effort. I'm just, you know, I'll just chill, go to my job and come back, and eventually it gets really depressing. They fall into that trap of, oh, I'm alone and, you know, this is not my place. Yeah. But it's like, what if this could be a beautiful chapter of your life, but you're making no effort there?
I would say this is not really a Qatar problem. I would say this is a global problem where unfortunately younger generations these days have a very different understanding of friendship. Yeah. So a lot of people right now, they think friendship is just hanging out and being fun and doing things together, and you know, there's not a lot of attention. I hear this a lot from a lot of younger people, and they're like, you know, we don't have friends. And it's funny because I get approached by people in their early 20s for hanging out with me all the time, and I feel like they're lonely, even though their families are here, even though whatever, but I feel like they're lonely. And I've noticed that, and I've talked to a lot of them, and I realize that they do not have real friendships. And I've talked to them and I'm like, do you know why?
They lost the quality completely.
They lost because they don't give attention and energy.
Is it because of technology, you'd say?
I don't know. I don't think
of technology. I wouldn't blame it on technology.
I think it's I don't know if it's technology related, but I think it's more to do with they just do not have the understanding of you need to invest in friendships to get something back.
Yeah.
You're not going to have that friend who has your back, who takes care of you, who notices when you get quiet. You're not going to have that friend if you're not investing in them.
True.
It's a two-way street.
Yeah.
You know, you might have someone who invests in you for a while.
Yeah,
but if it's not reciprocated, they're going to be walking away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
So you're not going to have healthy friends if you're not healthy with them.
True.
So you need to really put in effort and invest in those friendships, put in the time and energy. You need to be a good listener if you want them to listen to you, you know? So unfortunately, the younger generations, they don't have patience. They're like, oh my God, this person's putting me down. I don't want. They don't stick to people in their hard
feel
times.
Like high and happy.
Yeah,
all the
happy
time.
all the time.
Yeah,
I don't know what this happy all the time
yeah.
is. Life is tough.
I think it's like thank you next. Like I think it's because of like I don't know the scrolling.
Yeah, I don't know. Or is it like the quick dopamine fixes that they have, and if somebody's having a bad day, like she's putting me down. I don't want it.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like me, myself, and I want to be like really happy all the time.
Yeah.
If you're gonna put me down,
it's the same thing with jobs. Nobody's really sticking to a job. Oh my God, they were mean to me, or I didn't get the promotion. Not even mean. I didn't get the promotion in 3 months. I'm out.
Yeah, 3 months.
Yeah,
and I do hear like real stories of like people.
They're job hopping.
Yeah,
and it's not even a bad environment. They're just job hopping because they're bored.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, we used to stick to jobs that like would kill us. We would have nothing is stimulating in the job for like 2 years before a stimulating project comes along.
2 years is actually my breaking point.
Yeah.
I can tell you as a job hopper so far, like I've been in like 5 companies, I want to say in 10 years. Which I consider a lot, for many people.
Yeah.
I gained so much experience for sure, but I feel like in some of those jobs I waited too long to leave. Although for some people, like you've only been there for 2 years, like what is it? Like people start questioning you, like you have to defend yourself.
Yeah.
But it's like there's a difference between a real reason why you want to leave.
Of course.
Like for example, like I had a boss who was harassing me. All right.
I mean that's
like these obvious, like huge,
obviously,
real, actual reasons.
That's a thing, right? So you have to kind of like understand what's, like you said, a real reason, and what you said is kind of like I'm not getting enough dopamine kind of
really
reason.
Yeah,
exactly. So I would say the patience isn't there. That's the missing ingredient in friendships and work and all of this stuff, and I think that's why a lot of the younger generations are suffering a lot, and they don't feel fulfilled. Their cup is not full, and they keep saying why, and I don't understand. We don't have friendships, and a lot of them they approach older. I'm not saying older. People in their 30s, not older, but people in their 30s.
Old now, girl.
Yeah, but because they're seeing that quality with us. Like I have friends who are literally feel like family to me.
Yeah.
So that takes years to build. Years and experiences, mawaqif, just like knowing that not a doubt in your mind that person's going to be there for you. That is not easy to build. No. You have to put a lot of energy into that, and you can't let, even if some hard times hit you guys, you have to be able to come out of that. So I feel like if you're a good person and you put that energy, you will get it back. Especially in friendships. In some jobs, you will get it back, but you just gotta invest.
You gotta wait.
You gotta earn that position. You have to earn those friendships. They're just not gonna come by easily.
Because I feel like a lot of kids nowadays are very entitled.
Of course, they're entitled.
I hope they're listening now, but I hope this gives them
why am I not getting this job? Why don't I get this position?
Like, dude,
why don't my friends do this?
Like,
my friend just ditched me and she didn't even tell me. Or she didn't bother. What did you do? Were you there?
Exactly.
And the thing is, if you were there and they didn't appreciate it, you drop them. That's the thing. You don't stick around.
Move on.
You move on until you find that quality person. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like a natural filtering system. In our time, somehow it was easier because most people, maybe we didn't have that dopamine fix. Exactly. So maybe it was easier in our time. But in their time, I would say it's quite challenging because they don't even have the patience for that. You know what I mean? Like their friends going through a hard time. Oh my God, she depressed me. I'm over this. I don't want to deal with this.
Get over your depression and come back and
exactly. I mean, if you're not going to stick with her in her depression, she's definitely not going to stick with you. You know what I mean?
That's really good advice though, that kids nowadays really need to work on their patience.
They need to work on developing their patience. Now, how can they develop their patience? This is something I keep thinking, like, how can I advise people to work on their patience, I would say be patient with yourself first, because a lot of them aren't. A lot of them don't even sit with themselves and be like, why am I feeling frustrated? Why am I feeling sad? They're just like, oh no, I'm just gonna go for a basketball game. Just forget about all this.
I feel like they're not processing.
They don't.
They're not taking a minute to just think about what happened during my day. And I feel like we're starting to fall in that trap too.
Yeah.
Because life has become so busy and
Absolutely.
just so fast, like so fast paced that we're not taking a moment. Okay, let me just go through my day. What happened today?
Yeah.
You know, let me scan through. What could I have done better? It's just part of
just
reflecting.
sit with yourself. Sit with yourself as if you would sit with a best friend.
Exactly.
You know, how would you sit with your best friend and listen to her day? You need to do the same for yourself.
100%.
And when you treat yourself a certain way, and like I'm gonna switch to Arabic here.
You go for it.
So we have مثل بالعربي. It says عامل الشخص مثل ما بدك إياه يعاملك.
صح.
And psychologically, actually, that's incorrect.
Oh, really?
It's incorrect. So the psychology-wise, I'm talking energy, pure energy talk here. Okay, you need to treat yourself the way you want people to treat you.
Yeah.
كمان عندنا مثل بالعربي بيقول لك اللي ما بيدلل نفسه ما حدا بيدلله.
Okay.
So that's the more accurate one.
Interesting.
You know, so it's basically it's a mirror. So it's the way you treat yourself, the way you see yourself. That's how the world will show up for you. So if you take care of yourself, they will make sure to take care of you. If you respect your own boundaries, they will definitely respect them. But if you break your own boundaries, they will definitely
keep breaking
absolutely.
yours, yeah.
So let's say you have a boundary of I will go to sleep at 9 p.m. no matter what, and you respect that boundary. First of all, that increases your confidence in yourself.
Because you're keeping that
promise to yourself.
Yeah.
So that will increase your confidence with 100%. Yourself. It will increase the trust with yourself, and if your people who are you're around know that is your rule, they will respect your rule. But if you like, some days you break it, some days you won't. Eventually, you'll be like, who cares? Whatever. So that's the thing. You need to keep your boundaries, your promises to yourself, and it's the way you treat yourself. That's how the world's going to show up for you. So if you have compassion for yourself, if you're self-hating, you'd be like, oh my God, I'm so fat and I'm so ugly and I'm so whatever and whatever.
People are going to like.
You're like, girl, I see it. You know, like it's true.
Love it. Yeah.
So you have to. It's the way you treat yourself.
True.
That's how the world will show up with you. If you treat yourself with integrity, people have integrity with you. Respect, people will respect you.
Yeah.
So if
people somehow feel it, like it's an energy.
It's an energy. It's actually an energy. So it's not just fluff that I'm talking about. This you can experiment with this. Experiment with it. Do one small experiment. Be like, you know what? I'm going to look at myself. That's what I did with Pilates. I did one class, and I'm like, I feel taller.
And you're already taller.
Yeah, I felt like my posture was better. I was taller. I feel good.
Yeah.
And I swear,
you're carrying yourself differently.
I'm telling you, and that's the thing. Your body will fall into place. It will sync up. It absolutely will sync up. And I kid you not, the very next day I was walking in the hallway at work, and my colleague was like, she called me from her office. She's like, come here, what have you been doing? I see a difference here. And I'm like, I know. Yes, exactly. I wasn't surprised. I knew.
Love it.
So that's the thing. You really have to, I mean, if your brain is, you know, playing a movie 24/7, you better make that movie good.
Oh, yeah.
You better make it a good movie.
True. Because you're in your head pretty much a lot.
Yeah.
Better be a safe place.
Better be a very safe, healthy place for you, or you are done.
Yeah, and that's why even like in our fitness world, I would say we always tell people mindset is everything.
Absolutely.
If you tell yourself you can't do those push-ups, you can't do this, you can't do that, you won't.
Yeah.
Like you really won't.
I mean, in the gym, I struggle a lot when I have a mentally weak day. When I'm mentally drained, that's when I struggle in the gym. It's all about the mindset.
Yeah.
There are days where I push myself, and the next day I can't feel anything. I can't feel my limbs, right? And those are the days where I was mentally very strong and I challenged my body.
Okay.
And there are days where I just like, I'm done. I can't do it, and but because I'm mentally tired. I'm mentally not there. You know, so
you're going through the motions, but you're not really.
You're not there.
Yeah.
You're not there. You're not feeling it. Your belief system's off. You're just thinking about other things. I can't do this, whatever. So it's all about what you believe. It's all about your belief system, and that's something that I've seen a lot with weight loss, with people who struggle with weight loss. You have these people who have been dieting for years, and they actually stick to the diet, but they never actually lose weight. It's because their body is not syncing up with their mind. 100%. Their mind is saying, I'm a fat person,
Yeah.
I'm overweight,
I
I'm
can't
whatever.
do it. I'm not
Their
gonna
body
do it.
does not sync up. Even the burning process does not sync up. It will
Mm-hmm.
self-sabotage.
100%.
So and I've actually seen examples of this where people change their mindset and do not change their diet that much and still lose weight.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've seen studies like the people, like if you listen to like scholars and I've even listened to a couple of like podcasts too, like Diary of a CEO and stuff, where he brings on like doctors who do these studies for like decades on different generations, and they have seen people change their bodies, like you said, just by thinking it. Like there was a study that they actually did where they had like 10 people for, I'm not sure how long, but like for a few months, they would basically go to the gym, hit the gym every day, you know, do their program, strength training program, and they are on a muscle building spree, right? The other like batch of people,
they just thought of doing it, and they saw the same results.
That was mind blowing. I was like, wait,
I've
what?
seen the study.
I could just think about gaining muscle. I'm gonna gain it. I want that.
Yeah, I mean, if you read the book "I Am the Placebo," it talks about that. It talks about how you can literally heal.
Yeah. It's
like
your
crushed
body
spine. The guy healed his crushed. I remember reading the first. I think it was the first chapter, and I'm like, no. I stopped and I started to do all this. Is this true?
Yeah, like how.
And the guy released his medical papers to show how true it was. Right? Wow. And then I finished reading it, and I could not believe it. Wow. I could not believe it, and I've actually experimented with this with a few things in my life, and I've seen it work.
Incredible.
I've seen it work. Yeah.
Like I always say, subhanallah, like how God created something, I mean, so incredible. It's like he gave you the power.
He gave you the mind. He gave you the mind. And I remember asking my prof, why is 95% of all our decisions coming up from the subconscious mind? And the subconscious mind is designed to keep note of the negative. Doesn't that kind of drive you crazy? Like, why were we designed that way? Yeah. And then she explained it to me. She's like, if you think about it, the subconscious mind becomes automated. So it's very automated. It's not very conscious. Yeah. But it has to be done this way because everything you learn as a child needs to be automated. For example, she's like, think about it. If you have to wake up every day and think to yourself, I need to put one foot in front of the other, in front of the other, in front of the other to walk, you would go nuts. You would literally do nothing else in life.
Then think about that.
Exactly. So some things need to be automated. Now our challenge is, now if we're lucky enough to have a healthy upbringing, to have a positive upbringing, to have people who build positive belief systems, if we are lucky enough to, as children, to have that, then we will have a very healthy movie that we're watching, a healthy voice in our head that will automatically put us on a very successful path in life. Incredible. But unfortunately, when we have trauma, and sometimes this trauma is not purposefully there, like, you know, some parents, they do their best and there's still trauma, you know, unfortunately, then that's when it controls your narrative, right? Now, why do I care about studying this so much? Because we can break generational cycles this way. And you can give your child very healthy habits that are programmed in their, you know, like in neurosystem. In their neuropaths. Very healthy things that just put them on an easier life. You know, gives them an easier life. So you can consciously do that. So let's say, for example, that I am worried that my child has no confidence, for example. You know, I'm worried about that. What you can do is be proactive instead of reactive. So don't wait for the problem to happen. Be proactive. How can we be proactive? Let's say, for example, you have a child. I asked my prof, how can we guarantee that our children are not effed up? You know, for example, she's like, okay, one of the easiest advices I can give people, if you can just teach your child one thing, the most important thing is to teach them how to love themselves. If they learn how to love themselves, they will be able to, you know, like, protect themselves from so much in the future. They will, you know, advocate for themselves and fight for themselves and fight for their rights and whatever. So if they just learn how to love themselves,
it'll be the core of so much.
And if we can just teach them that, if you can just teach your child that one thing, and it's so easy to teach a child that at a young age. Very easy. How? Literally by verbally saying it. That's how easy it is when the child is young.
Really?
Because it's a sponge.
Yeah.
You don't have to prove it. There's nothing to prove.
Yeah.
If you just tell your child, I love you because you are you. That's it. All you have to be is you. I love you because you are you. You know?
Yeah.
And you love you.
Do they need to say it too?
They need to say it. So what you need to do is you have to tell your child. So let's say your child is called Muhammad, for example.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the most popular name in the world. So we'll use that. Okay. So let's say your child is called Muhammad. So you tell Muhammad, I love Muhammad first. Okay. So first, Allah loves Muhammad because you can, by the way, psychology teaches you that you can never be a stable human being without believing in a higher power. It is actually physically impossible to be mentally stable without believing in a higher power. And this is psychology based.
Wow.
We are not designed to not believe in a higher power.
Yeah.
Our brain is designed to believe in something bigger.
Incredible.
Right?
Yeah.
So you always have to teach Muhammad that Allah loves me no matter what. And it's true. Allah loves me no matter what. There is always a higher power. Second thing, Muhammad loves me no matter what. Not mom and dad, Muhammad first. Why? Because if he learns to love himself no matter what, even when his mom or dad have a bad day and like trash him and like say hurtful things to him, he won't believe it. He will always believe that he loves himself no matter what. And he will shame his mom and dad. So if his mom and dad, and I've actually seen this, when the mom and dad, for a healthy child, say something bad to them, you know what they say? What? You're mean. I don't like it. That was not nice to say. They will defend themselves.
I like that.
They won't believe what they say.
Yeah.
If it's negative. And then after that, we say mom loves Muhammad, dad loves Muhammad.
No matter what.
No matter what. If we teach that basic on a daily basis, just say that to the child on a daily basis. Say it part of the day, part of whatever. You know, once a day, for example, it is enough to.
Because you don't want them to be like overconfident, where it
of course
becomes
not.
like
no.
Like,
that's why you don't say
Muhammad
is special, Muhammad whatever. No, because another study that I've read actually is it's actually damaging to tell a child that they're so smart, that they're like no matter, because smart is given by God. Yeah, exactly. It's not something you're working towards.
Okay.
So it's actually a lot more effective to tell the child you are hardworking than you are smart. Why? Because they will learn that as long as they work hard, they're gonna get things. Okay. But smart is like they're not really putting an effort, and they don't really feel like they earned it. Yeah. So they need to feel like they're earning something.
And I think they'll be confused if they feel like, oh wait, like I'm not getting straight A's.
Yeah.
Like,
what does that mean?
Does that mean I'm not smart?
And not just that, it will actually sabotage their chances of taking risks. So there's studies on this where children. Actually, the ones who were told they were smart, no matter like just smart, right? They're too scared to take risks because they don't want to prove that they're not. Versus children who are told that they work hard, they take the risks.
That's incredible.
Because they know as long as they're working hard, it's okay.
Yeah.
So there are studies on
that.
Like
the mission is continue working hard.
Exactly. So you are loved, by Allah, by yourself. Why? Because we need to put a layer of protection on the child so that no matter what happens in life, they don't doubt that they're not loved. That their cup is always full.
Interesting.
And first and foremost, it's filled by Allah.
Yeah.
And we نزرع هذا الإشي في
That's
قلبه.
beautiful. Yeah.
You know, so there are ways to be proactive on this sort of stuff.
But on this specific point, I want to translate it in another sense for those who are, let's say, non-believers. How would you help them do that? Would you just do it the same way but not put it as in pinned to a higher power? Because again, like a higher power for different people means different things.
I mean, as long as you believe in a higher power. So for example, my prof was not Muslim, but she does believe in a higher power. And she tells you it's what grounds you. The human mind is designed to believe in a higher power no matter what. It is designed that way, which is why
it's against our nature to not.
It's against the fitrah.
Yeah,
it's against you're going against fitrah if you don't believe in a higher power. It would drive you crazy. 100%. You would actually feel so unstable. You would feel extremely unsafe. Yeah. If you think about it, if we think that everything's happening randomly and by coincidence, how terrifying is that? Yeah. Not to believe in a higher power. So
like nobody's got your back.
Exactly. So if you look into psychology, like true psychology, it actually part of the teachings of psychology is that you cannot possibly be mentally stable and calm if you do not believe in a higher. You must believe in any higher power.
Whatever it is.
Whatever it is.
Believe in something.
And that's something that I was taught. Obviously in Canada it's very risky to say that. You know, they're not allowed to say all that stuff.
Yeah.
But because most of the people in the class were actually Arab,
Okay.
And
it was a safe space.
It was a safe space. It was online.
Yeah.
And things like that. But she was saying, she was like, you have to believe in something higher than you, because it's absolutely terrifying not to. And our brain is not designed that way, so it would throw you off balance completely to think that all of this is random. And it can't possibly be random.
And I do feel like that even Arabs, like obviously we're not all of the same religion. And I feel like in the past few years especially, people have lost their way.
Absolutely.
Because that faith of like knowing there's a higher power, they started questioning that. And it's fine to question it 100%. Like we are all in for questioning that, but eventually, like not having or believing in higher power, I can see so much confusion in their eyes, and they feel lost.
It's terrifying.
Yeah, like
it's absolutely terrifying.
It's like they're always like looking for answers that they can't find, and when they find an answer, they still keep looking, although that could be good enough.
It's absolutely terrifying. And the thing is, with a higher power, some people think, oh, it's a higher power, we believe in it.
Yeah.
But it goes a lot further than that.
Than that too.
I mean, I don't know about other religions, so I'm going to talk about Islam.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so in Islam, what does that higher power mean? Allah, al-Qadr, and all that stuff. And if we look at what's happening in Palestine right now, a lot of people are like, how can this happen? How can Allah let this happen? All of that stuff. Allah has ayat in the Quran saying that, عَسَى أَن تَكْرَهُ شَيْئًا وَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. Allah designed the human mind with its limitations. So sometimes we don't have the capacity to understand the bigger purpose. And I was recently watching this video, and it was absolutely beautiful. It was a reminder to me, first and foremost, because I sometimes struggle with this. I'm human at the end of the day. No matter how much research and intellectualization that I do, I still have emotional struggles, to accept things. So it was such a beautiful reminder. It talks about Surah Al-Kahf. وليش بنقرأ سورة الكهف every Friday? And it's because if you think about the contents of Surah Al-Kahf, it has 3 stories that the human mind cannot fathom. Why is this man, ruining the boat?
Burning this boat down.
Why is he breaking down the wall? Why did this child get killed? How could that possibly be good? The human mind does not have the capacity to understand
like the bigger purpose.
Absolutely not. So why do we read Surah Al-Kahf every Friday? Because Allah knows that we are humans and we get tired and we struggle to understand things. So it's a weekly reminder for us to believe, number one, Allah has all the control. Not you.
He's still there.
Allah's in control of everything. It's up to you to have the emotional rida. That's what you work on. You don't work on controlling the scenarios and what happens, the outcomes. That's Allah's job.
100%.
Your job is to have the rida. That's what you work on. To have the rida, to have the faith, to know that kul shay bi Allah and I will accept it no matter what.
Exactly.
So even with what's happening in Palestine, it seems like, how can this happen? How can Allah let this happen? But Allah knows best. Allah knows best beyond the human capacity to understand.
And I feel like the more that we lose touch with that, the more that we lose faith in that, that's where people are getting really tired. They're getting exhausted because they're like, how could God let this happen? And that's where Iman comes in, faith. 100%. So it's not enough to just be Muslim. To be able to be stable. To be able to be stable, you need to have that Iman. And that Iman, again, is like a muscle. You need to keep building it. You need to keep reminding yourself. And sometimes Allah will send you a test just to remind you of that. Let's see. Let's put it to test and see.
Imanik. Sometimes you need to so you get a test.
And you get rewarded. I mean, it's not like, you're going.
But that reward goes fil akhirah and fil dunya. The dunya reward is to have that rida.
Exactly.
And it's really hard to understand. Why did I have to go through this? Why? But because at the end of the day, Allah khalaqna likay na'bud. I mean, that's the whole purpose here. You know what I mean? That's why we're here. So Surah Al-Kahf was such a beautiful reminder for me. And honestly, I didn't used to read it every week. But after this, I'm like, I want to read this every week.
Incredible.
Because it's a reminder that we're human, that we struggle to understand things. That's okay.
And that's why to question and not understand and fathom the
but go back to, as long as you don't question that Allah has, your best interest, as long as you know deep down, even though you struggle to accept it sometimes, but this is your weekly reminder, basically, so.
Because you see, like, for example, what you were saying, and again, obviously we don't want to get into, like, politics and all that, but just touching on that specific point, because that is what's happening. That is the elephant in the room everywhere
Yeah.
at this point, right?
Yeah.
But it's just like what helps me personally as well, like accept things and move on with my life and be okay with it, is that I know for a fact these beautiful souls are going to be in not just heaven, in paradise. We say like there's a Jannah for those that right? I mean, they got the key. Like, but what we see on ground, on earth, are bodies, like terrible, gruesome things.
Absolutely, it's hard, and I bet there's a lot of people out there who be like, are they?
Yeah,
you know, like
the questioning.
I'm sure it crossed the mind of some people.
100%.
And you gotta keep reminding yourself. You gotta keep challenging that. You gotta keep reminding yourself, because honestly, what is the alternative?
Yeah.
What is the alternative? We'll go nuts.
Yeah.
There is no alternative.
And there are people who are going nuts because of it. It's like their lives have stopped, and they've not everyone is able to grasp what is happening. How could the world be so evil? How could this be happening and no one's doing anything about it? And then you lose yourself at times.
You lose yourself because you're losing faith in humanity, which is really hard. It's very hard when you lose faith in humanity, because it's like, that's very scary. Like, what if it happens to us? What if we become like this? What if we become desensitized? And that's what's been happening. People have been desensitized before October 7th. Before Palestine, they've always been struggling. They've always been struggling. You know,
and it's like
a lot of people
in Africa as well.
Exactly, like Sudan, for example, Congo.
A lot more, thousands of people have been dying in
Sudan has been under genocide for 200 years. So, unfortunately, we have become desensitized to this sort of thing. And it's very scary when you lose hope in humanity 100%. Like that. But again, الإنسان خلق في كبد, right? So we have to keep going back to the Quran. And I was seeing a lecture the other day, and the lady giving the lecture, she was like, why do we read the Quran? Does anybody ever? And she asked this question to the audience. She's like, do people go and read the Quran with a goal in mind? Like when you go to the doctor, she was saying, when you go to the doctor, you don't just randomly go into a doctor's office.
I'll just go chill in the doctor's office. Can you just check?
You go, you know exactly what you're going for. My arm is burning, my eye hurts, this is twitching, whatever. Like there's a reason, there's a mission, there's a reason. Why don't we go to the Quran that way? We don't look at the Quran like it's a miracle, like it's a mu'jiza. We're like, oh, okay, it's kalam Allah. But if we start to go to the Quran, like Anna, after listening to that lecture, I'm like, I should do that. And sometimes the surah that I'm reading has nothing to do with what I'm feeling. So I'd be like, you know what, I'm feeling unstable today, I'm feeling a little sad. I am gonna read the Quran because I want to feel at peace. That is my goal today. And
there is I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's for example Surah Yasin, when you read it with a purpose, with a specific purpose, like for example, I want to feel at peace. I want to be able to get over this specific situation with with stable ground. I want to be able to, whatever it is, the purpose, it serves that purpose. So
I'm not sure about that. I'm not 100% sure about that. I don't want to. Get
of course. We don't want to.
So I don't want to. Exactly.
Misinformation here.
Exactly. But what's beautiful about what she said is, in general, just like dua. Like when you have a prayer or dua, sometimes I badai in English because it's I'm more comfortable with that. And the way badai as if I'm talking to just like someone he really gets me. And sometimes in my dua I say, Allah, you know how I feel even better than me. Because sometimes I don't even know how to, he knows.
He's in your veins.
He knows. So sometimes, so that's how I read the Quran. I read the Quran like it's some sort of it has healing powers, and it does. It has healing powers, and
the fact that your mind, like we were saying, your mind,
your intention, exactly. And I literally, after I read, and I try my best to ما أهجر القرآن ever. So I try my best to read about two pages a day, minimum.
Beautiful.
Okay. So and I swear to God, every time I read it, I really do feel better. It's better than a good cry. It's better than talking to a friend. It's better than any of it. It's like, for me, my healing is reading the 2 pages of the Quran when I really feel like sometimes there's something I'm struggling with. I don't even id'i to fix the thing I'm just id'iing that, please Allah, do you get me? Like, do you hear me? Do you see me? Do you get me? Those are the main questions a human needs to answer for themselves. Part of self-love. You always, when you're feeling lost, you always tell yourself, do you see me? Do you get me? Do you hear me?
Yeah.
I say it to Allah. Do you see me? Do you get me? Do you hear me? I know it's a yes.
Yeah.
I know it's a yes, right?
It's a firm
so,
yes.
Yeah, it's a firm yes. Absolutely. So it's very healing when you read the Quran with that intention.
Beautiful.
When you start to yani, we need to stop looking at religion like prayer, Quran, all of this stuff like it's a checklist I need to do to get hasanat.
Like a chore that you're doing. It's
my approach to religion is very different.
I feel like
for
it
me
changes,
it's like very healing.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like that it's important to. I feel like everybody's journey obviously is different in their own religion, right? But especially in Islam, I think a lot of us who are born into it, because we're born into it, we don't take full advantage of what it really is and the power of it.
Absolutely.
You know? Like we just take it for granted.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's been forced a specific way because of the family, whatever. So you
or there's a belief system around it.
Exactly.
Again, there's a belief system around it.
So
like
you start pulling away.
Exactly. So you need to do this because of this. Like for example, hijab. Let's take hijab as a very beautiful example.
Touchy
topic,
girl.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My sister used to always say, alhamdulillah about me, that I've never once struggled with the hijab. She has struggled with the hijab. She many times. She's like, sometimes I feel like I want to go to the beach. It's so weird that you don't struggle. It's because I don't look at the hijab as a fard like everyone else. Okay. I don't see it that way.
Yeah.
For me, the way I see hijab, and it's the same way people see kufiya. It's a representation. I am literally a walking, talking representation of Islam. That is an honor.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it.
Yeah.
I try to do my best to keep that representation good and clean, especially when I'm in the West.
Yeah.
Because I am a walking advertisement for Islam.
Beautiful.
You know?
Yeah.
Imagine the ajr you get.
Yeah.
Imagine the ajr you get. That's how I see hijab. I don't see it like it's fard and I have to do it and I hate doing it.
Yeah.
I see it like I need to look good. I need to speak
represent.
I need to be articulate. I need to be smart. I need to be charming. I need to be all that stuff, because anyone who has any good idea about Islam because of me, I am very lucky for being that representation.
Incredible.
That's how I see it. So I am literally every single day I'm putting the hijab on and I'm walking into the world with a mission to make a statement.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I mean, even like if you think about it, like if we're going to talk about kings and queens and royalty, they got to be modest.
Exactly.
So it's like it represents something there. You know, like it's not normal to just, you know, be out there or
absolutely
like it's royalty. That's how like modest and royalty come together. But even more so now that God is asking you to do it.
Think about it this way. Like when FIFA happened in Qatar, and literally every single day of FIFA, I would wear the colors and the flags of whatever team is playing. I would dress the whole family and I would go out in my gear and like represent. You know what I mean? For me, that's how I feel about Islam every single day. I'm representing. So every day I put on my best gear, my best hijab, my best, like image, everything, and I try to represent in the most authentic way possible, in the most real way possible. So I don't try to like tell people, oh, you have to do this, haram police, whatever. No,
exactly.
You're trying to show what Islam can do, the miracles of the Quran, what that could do, what that could mean. You know, you're trying to show like the full experience. I'm trying my best. I'm not saying I'm perfect. Sometimes I'm flawed. I am flawed. We're human. But you try your best. So if you walk into the world with that mission,
people will get curious.
Yeah.
You're like, wait.
Exactly.
What's up with that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but if you walk into the world thinking, oh, I have to wear the hijab and all, like I don't want to go to hell and it's so hot today and what. Oh my! Look at the difference in mindset.
Attitude too.
Attitude.
Like,
it's a mindset. So when you're walking in that energy, imagine the energy. When I'm walking full of, like I'm so proud. Like I'm walking with my kufi. Everybody's wearing a kufi now. I'm walking with the kufi and I am proud. I'm representing Palestine. It's the same thing.
Incredible.
Yeah. But did you ever see someone wearing a kufiya but they don't really want to wear a kufiya? No.
Should I wear it?
They're proud. They're putting it on their proud. So it's the same thing with a hijab. You are representing. Girl, represent.
Yeah.
Be proud of it. It's a mission.
Yeah. And recently as well, I don't know if you saw this, but I'm very active on social media, as you know. But I've seen on TikTok a lot of reverts.
A lot.
Recently.
A lot. It's because they're seeing the way people are reacting.
Exactly, and it's not because someone or anybody has told them like, oh, you should do this, you should do that, this is Islam, this is blah, blah, blah.
Exactly.
No. They were mesmerized by how much faith.
How grounded everyone is.
And how grounded people are. And even the people who are undergoing, the G word, we're not going to say it for whatever reason, we would take it off. But like what's happening in Palestine and everything that is going on, the kind of faith and solidarity,
Absolutely.
and just the beauty of how they hold
I mean,
themselves
literally
and
in
carry
the
themselves.
worst moment of their lives, some people are losing
Can get
5
worse.
kids,
Yeah.
5 kids.
Yeah,
And literally,
so
the only
much
thing they say,
faith.
Hasbi Allah wa ni'mal wakeel.
Yeah.
That's the first. Some people say, Alhamdulillah. Some people
Yeah.
بسجدوا on the
Yeah.
spot.
And
Alhamdulillah.
it got the world curious, girl.
Absolutely.
It
I
got
would
the
be
world
curious. Girl,
curious.
I would be
Yeah.
like, what is
Give me
happening?
some of that. What is that key you got there?
You know what?
Like,
I am already Muslim and I got curious.
Yeah.
I got curious.
Exactly, yeah.
And I'm already Muslim and I'm
Yeah.
like, I need to understand more.
Yeah.
And I started to look more into it. And I started, I actually used to read the Quran. Alhamdulillah, أنا بقرأ القرآن بالتجويد الكامل. We had a sheikh for 10 years, so
Beautiful.
you know my parents were very keen on teaching them
Mediocre.
that. Alhamdulillah,
Yeah,
all of us,
alhamdulillah,
we had those
It's a
teachings.
blessing.
But and we had tafsir and everything, but I
Yeah.
wanted to really understand.
deeper.
Yeah, because what is everybody talking about here? So I
Yeah.
wanted to read the translation of the Quran to really take it in.
Yeah.
And I started to get into that, and I started to want to be curious about what's faith, what's yaqeen, what are these people believing, you know, and I'm starting to go back to Islam even more, trying to learn even more about Islam, go to lectures, go whatever, and I'm Muslim because I'm so mesmerized from the way they're reacting to all of this. And our car breaks down, we lose it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we absolutely lose it.
That's so true.
They don't have decaf coffee, we lose it.
What? You don't have decaf coffee?
Exactly.
Gosh,
So
what am I supposed to do?
I wanted to understand more. So imagine these reverts who come from a world of they're depressed and they don't even know why.
Yeah.
You know, they're gonna be curious as hell.
For sure.
I do not blame them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I hear you.
So absolutely, I see that.
So there's one age group I'd say that we left out, and then maybe we're gonna close it like there. Like you and I can go on for hours and hours. I think it's been a while, but I'm loving the conversation. I really hope everyone's enjoying this conversation too. But I would say the older generation.
Yeah.
What would you say to that?
Oof.
That's the juicy part.
Oh yeah.
These are the tough ones to tackle. Because
Well, it depends on which area. There's so many areas I can tackle.
Exactly. What's the one I would say you're passionate about? Like, what are the ones that you've experienced and feel like this is what I know to work with this part of this generation? Like, obviously, like you said, like the conversation can really delve into many branches.
Oh yeah.
But let's focus on one that you feel like this is something I really need to like talk about because I've seen it, I've studied it, I know to be true kind of thing.
I would say the first thing we were taught in the first psychology class I took, the first thing she said is if your parents don't freak out that you ruined your children, and if you have parents, getting angry at them is part of the process, just don't get stuck there. You know?
Okay.
And anyone who has done therapy would know this, and anyone who will do therapy will experience this. You will get to a point where you're going to be mad at your parents. And it's only because a lot of things stem from childhood, unfortunately. And it's not because of the parents. It's because it's the way the human brain is designed. It's designed to be a sponge for 12 years. And parents can't be perfect. They're only human, right? So whatever you're experiencing is directly coming from the parents, from the teachers, from the environment, but it's mainly the parents. And a lot of people blame their parents for a long time. And it's very important not to be stuck in that, because at some point you have to learn what compassion is. And I love talking about this. So when we were in this course, we actually studied compassion, just the word, the emotion of compassion, and it's actually the highest vibration to have compassion. It's the highest vibration emotion to have compassion, one of the highest, right?
And it's the hardest to have sometimes.
It's hard to even understand it. I couldn't understand what compassion was. I couldn't understand the definition of compassion.
It's like, how
for
do you
3 weeks.
Forgive them?
We actually had to study it for 3 weeks because most
3
people.
weeks.
3 weeks.
One word.
Damn. 3 weeks, one emotion, because most people didn't understand. A lot of people, is it empathy? Is it whatever? Is it? It's not empathy. Compassion is
trying to label it under something familiar.
I could not understand what compassion is, and compassion is what will get you over the hump of I can't forgive my parents for doing this. It will get you over that hump. I can't forgive this person for doing it. And after I finally understood what compassion was, there was a story for the Prophet ﷺ that helped me understand compassion. It was the perfect story that helped me understand.
Okay.
So I actually don't know the names. I'm ashamed
That's okay.
to say I don't know the names, but
story.
there is. I think there was a lady in the back in the time of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I think her name was Hind.
Okay.
Hind. اللي أكلت كبد. Unfortunately, I don't know the names. I'm really bad with names.
Okay.
But أكلت كبد, someone who the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam cares about so much, and she was like أيامها مع الكفار وأكلت كبده, and she like بدها تنتقد, so she أكلت من كبده. The story is very famous, so a lot of people would know the story. And eventually هاي الست أسلمت.
Okay.
Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, I accept your Islam, I accept it, and I forgive you, but I cannot see you. And that is the true definition of compassion, where you can forgive somebody, but hold your boundary.
Exactly.
You know, that is the true definition of compassion.
It's like
where
I forgive you, but I won't forget, kind of thing.
No. I will forget. It's okay. I forgive and forget, but I will not put myself in a situation where I will adur nafsi or traumatize myself. I just can't. I will forgive you from a distance.
Okay.
You know? Yeah. So, and it's not just that. You can have that person in your life, but I will not let that person affect me. So you hold your boundary, you hold your self-love and your self-compassion. No, I am also human.
Yeah.
So Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I'm also human, and I still, you know, like مقهور من هذا الموقف. مقهور منه, but I forgive you anyway. That is the true definition of compassion.
Beautiful. And that's so hard to do. Like it's especially with something that intense. Like
exactly. So think هلا مثلا إحنا, like let's say for example we have, you know, the G. For example, the person running the G. Okay, that person who is running the G, قديش قتل ناس وقديش ذبح ناس وقديش إحنا مقهورين منه. لو بكرة أعلن إسلامه, can anyone touch him? Nobody can touch him.
Very hard.
No. We'll have compassion.
Yes.
We forgive him, but we will never be able to truly let him back into. We can't.
Yeah, exactly.
That's compassion. Like we can't touch him either.
Yeah.
You know?
Keep him at a distance, but we know what you've done.
We get it.
So,
we get it. We'll accept it. Inshallah, Allah accept. So for example, وياما ناس في أيام الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم, they were like جبارين وبيسلموا وبينهدوا.
True.
You know?
Yeah.
And Rasul, but her, Rasul صلى الله عليه وسلم could not see her. I couldn't see her. You know? So that's compassion, where he forgave her, he accepted her Islam, but he held his boundary. So when we get to that stage, we say, we were hurt, for example, we were hurt by this thing that our parents did, we were hurt by the older generation, my uncle said that, my grandma said that, whatever, and we forgive them because they're human. We know they're human. They have their flaws. They're not perfect. But we're gonna hold the boundary. We're not gonna let them re-traumatize us.
Exactly.
I'm not saying اقطعوهم. But I'm saying try to observe instead of react.
And you don't have to be like talking to them every single day, for example.
Exactly.
Like just set boundaries that are safe for you.
Safe for you.
That doesn't affect you mentally.
Yeah, but we need to keep in mind our religion, our culture, where you know I don't agree with the Western psychology where they say hold the boundary and اقطعوهم. No, absolutely not.
Kill it.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
No. But we need to understand that يعني الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم والإسلام they tell us إنه we get أجر if we forgive. And it's not an easy task. Islam recognizes some people cannot. You know, but if you can, قديش إلك أجر. You know, so work on that. Work on that compassion. Compassion really helps you forgive. So I would say for the older generation, because they don't have the knowledge that we have, we need to be graceful with them. But we need to take our time.
So I was gonna say, so that would be for us to them or with them. But what would you like say to them if they're listening right now?
If they're listening, then they're already doing well. They're already doing well.
Amazing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I would also say have self-compassion for yourselves. If they are listening, they didn't have the tools back in the day. They didn't have any of this. I mean, boundaries were introduced in 2003 as per psychology. You know what I mean?
Mental health and
exactly. It wasn't trending.
A couple of years
exactly.
ago.
It wasn't trending at the time, and even back then, it was probably not even accurate. You know, a lot of the information was wrong. You know what I mean? So what I would say is have self-compassion, and I would say, you know, what a lot of parents are doing now is admit you're wrong. It's okay to admit, you're human, you're allowed to be wrong. And a lot of them don't like to admit that. So I would say the first thing is just admitting you're wrong sometimes helps. Helps the child, your child who's now an adult. Helps them with the compassion part. just be human. Say, I tried my best.
Yeah.
You know? You know, like as parents, as
I
friends.
didn't know better.
Yeah, I didn't know better. I did the best with what I had.
Yeah.
I had my own traumas.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I did the best with what I had. Just
and that's
show people your humanity. Show people your vulnerability. Show your kids your vulnerability.
Yeah.
It's okay to be vulnerable. That's how you connect with
100%.
people.
And I feel like the more that they tell their kids what they've been through eventually,
yeah,
the kids can sometimes understand.
Absolutely.
Like, you've had an abusive father. Okay, it
Yeah.
makes sense why you turned out this way. And there's a lot of unhealed trauma there. There's a lot of abuse that happened. You didn't know better.
Absolutely.
And your nervous system just...
It's a reactive.
Yeah.
It's not proactive. It's reactive at their point.
Yeah.
But so I'll give give this example before we close.
Go for it.
So my dad said something to us the other day, and he said something to us, and he was like this and this, and I was upset. I told my mom, I'm like, it was something about Arabic, like he's like, you guys don't speak enough Arabic, and I'm really upset with that and whatever. I felt very blamed.
Okay.
So I was telling my mom, I'm like, it's not fair for him to keep blaming us for this and whatever. And my mom, went and talked to him. My dad came to us on Friday, and he's like, I am sorry. Like, he's so human.
Wow.
So he's like, I am sorry if you guys misunderstood what I was trying to say. أنا كنت مقهور إنه you don't have the Arabic to pass on to your kids, but I never meant to tell you guys that you are not good kids. You are amazing kids. So he clarified. He's like, it's very big of him.
That is a mature,
exactly
emotionally stable man.
Yeah, but the thing is, he talks to us like we're adults.
Friends.
Now. When we were kids, no. Yeah. But now he's self-developing as he goes, even at his age.
Which is so important.
Yeah, which is I'm not above that. I'm not above explaining this to my kids. My kids need to know I'm proud of them. They need to know this. And he has a very open dialogue. And he confronted us. He's like, do you guys feel that way? And even one of my sisters like, no, we never said that. And,
Yeah.
But he's like, anyway, even if you didn't say that, I just want to clarify that I am proud of you guys. And I did not mean that I was not proud that you don't speak Arabic or as much. I mean, we all speak Arabic, alhamdulillah, but we're not with each other.
We're not like our parents' generation.
Yeah, so he's like, I was just trying to say that we need to protect our language for our kids. We need to teach it to our kids, but I never once wanted to let you ever feel that I wasn't proud. Yeah. And he was proactive in being sure that he knew. He's like, I want you guys to know that I'm so proud of you. I never want you to forget it. Tell your kids the good stuff too.
Yeah.
I would say tell your kids. The kids will never forget it.
Yeah.
For
Shout
him,
out to your dad.
Yeah,
honestly,
For him, it was probably a hadith mari.
Yeah.
But for me, it was life changing.
Yeah.
It was life changing. I'm like, damn. Yeah. I will never forget the day my dad said he was proud.
Incredible. Yeah.
So tell your kids the good stuff, because the older generations feel like, oh, they're not gonna try as hard. It's not true.
We're trying our best.
Yeah, that's how they connect with you.
Yeah.
This is how they connect.
Yeah.
They want to know that you're proud. Tell them before it's too late.
That's true. And I feel like it's all important for all generations at this point. Like, just bringing this all to make sense as to why I speak about mental health as well, and why I chose you specifically as well today. Like, you have, I could pick your brain all day long. Like, you have so much in there. It's beautiful.
I have so much to share.
Exactly. And I promise you, this might be the first time, but it's definitely not the last. Inshallah. We will have more episodes, inshallah, together. And like, mental health goes a long way in the terms that it is connected to everything, your physical health and your gut health.
Absolutely.
And I always try to bring people back to understanding what that means, because I feel like sometimes they tackle them like they're very, very separate. And no matter how old you are, from a child all the way to your older, and it's so important to get to do the hard work on your mental health, to really dig deep and understand that sometimes that you can, for example, have gut health issues, no matter what your age group is, because you have a lot of stored trauma, let's say.
100%.
You have 100%. So much anger there that is unresolved.
Oh, yeah.
Same goes with the physical part.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people, for example, especially the older generation, they think, because I'm sitting down all day. Well, 100% that is part of it. But the other part is,
a lot of times it's tension in your neck because of stress, or it's full on asabi, or whatever. Actually, your mental health affects your body in like
So
significant
many,
ways.
And your
More than
body
you can
stores
imagine.
It. Yeah, your
More
body
than you can
stores
imagine.
it,
And it's not just trauma. It's that daily stress. It's that buildup.
That seeping.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
toxicity
So
in there.
a lot of people think, oh, it's a one big trauma. No,
No.
it could be small things. That's a buildup
Yeah.
of
And
stress.
stress screws over your entire system.
100%.
And it just goes haywire.
Absolutely.
It's like basically a bug that has entered
It's a
your
virus.
system. It's a virus.
It's a virus.
And,
it will eat
and
you
it's-
up.
Yeah.
Will
And
eat you up. You
everything
need to
doesn't
get-
work.
Yeah.
It stops working. Like even like for example, people who try to lose weight sometimes and they're under so much stress. Now stress is
your
part of our
cortisol
life.
levels are so high, you won't burn anymore.
It's impossible. Your
Yeah.
body is in fight or flight, and it's in survival mode.
Yeah.
Like it's not gonna let go of that fat.
That's what I'm
It
saying.
needs it.
Some people they do so much, like exercise and diet and whatever. They never lose weight,
Yeah.
and they always wonder why. And it's not just the belief system. It's
Yeah.
sometimes your cortisol levels are so high that it is impossible to lose weight.
Exactly.
Because you're in survival mode. When
Yeah.
the body is in survival, it will not drop the weight. It is literally holding on to everything.
Exactly.
So you need to work on that stuff, and you have that buildup of stress or that buildup of anxiety and whatever, and it can really ruin your system.
100%.
So
yeah.
you have to be careful from the stuff. It can throw off your circadian rhythm, your hormones, all of that stuff.
The whole
It's
shebang.
all one big,
It's all
package.
connected.
It's all connected. It's definitely all connected.
Yeah.
Everything is connected.
Yeah.
Like with your faith, with your subconscious, your conscious. It's all one.
Yeah.
You gotta train your mind the same way you train your body in the gym.
Exactly. I totally agree. And even like when it comes to your skin, your everything.
Your
Some
skin
people
gets
start
affected.
putting on like all these
100%.
creams and they spend so much money and whatever,
And
it's
a little bit of stress will get you wrinkles.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or you start breaking out because
Oh,
you're
yeah.
stressing out. Although you were using the most expensive things and you were on point
Oh,
with
yeah.
your routine every single morning and night,
Yeah.
you start stressing out and you like stop like managing
Yeah.
it.
Was it Sabah, the singer, who they asked her what's your skincare routine? She's
Oh, yeah.
like smiling.
Exactly.
Smiling is my
Yeah.
skincare routine.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
actually read a study the other day, very recently actually, and it talked about like how the face muscles when you're sad, the face muscles actually go downwards,
Wow.
which are connected to your skin. So your skin looks more droopy when you're
True.
sad.
Yeah.
And no matter how many creams you put, if your muscles are droopy, you're done.
Yeah, it's
You know what I mean?
It's all gone. Yeah.
So I mean, we can talk forever about all
that's
this.
true.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think we put it all together
Yeah.
there for all age groups, hopefully.
Inshallah.
Thank you so much, Dania, for
Yeah.
being here. It's
Happy to
been
be
an
here.
absolute pleasure. I
Yeah.
mean, we can, like I said, we can go on forever and ever. So definitely stay tuned for more episodes
Inshallah.
with Dania. And yeah, I hope I see you back here again. I
Yeah.
hope the coffee was good.
It was good. It was
And-
good. I gotta heat it though.
Yeah,
I was talking so much, but I would like to
Yeah.
know what questions people have so that we can think of different
Definitely.
topics.
Yeah. Because again, like psychology and all that,
Yeah.
girl.
I dabble in so
endless.
many areas.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've touched base in so many different areas that I think we can take each one and make an episode of it.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, at the end of the day, attach it to how it connects to health and fitness and all that. So
yeah, it's all part of the same system.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, thank you so much, Dania.
Thank you
I
for having
appreciate
me.
you. And again, we shall definitely have you as well one day to talk about your like personal story too.
Inshallah,
Like get
inshallah.
dig
There's
deep
a
down in
lot
there.
there. There's a lot to unravel.
Let's take it one by one. All
Inshallah.
right, Dania. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you soon. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Good.
Damn.
How long?
28 minutes and 30 seconds.
Oh, that's good. Well, it felt like
all
longer,
good, right?
Yeah.
I think because we did like maybe 5-10 minutes before that, before the.
Oh yeah, maybe.
It was like I think 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Before the guy rang the bell, so we were just like
yeah,
starting
but that's
off.
pretty good.
That's incredible.
That's a lot in half an hour.
Have that, girl.
Yeah.